guys, welcome to Irish Footy Vlogs. Myself, Keith Fitzsimons and Cian Menton with you with another video. And Cian, we're just going to talk about the youth academies today and how the systems are run and the benefit it has to League of Ireland clubs, etc. Guys, if you're new around here, please subscribe, hit your bell notification button so you don't miss a video, and please like the video. Yeah, Cian, so we'll start with the under-19s and the under-19 league. You've seen bits and pieces or decent bit of this kind of football, haven't you? What's your opinion on the general standards of the league, of the under-19 league? Sorry.
The under-19 league is like it's the highest standard you can play at your age in Ireland if you're not League of Ireland, if you're not in the first division or the Premier. So the standard is a step up from, let's say, the higher reaches of the DDSL, the Premier sides, and I don't think anyone outside of that, like the DDSL, and then it's the League of Ireland. So, like, that is a big jump in itself. But the 19s then to the first team is an even bigger jump. So it's like I'd love to see a more flattened out, and I'd love to see, let's say, a reserve league. Well, look, it all depends on finances more than anything. But like similar to what Shamrock Rovers are doing now, like we're gonna go on and speak about the leagues and the players and stuff like that. But it's easy for a club like Shamrock Rovers to have so many youth prospects in their sides. When they have a B side playing, they can field 22 players, 23 players in the squad of reserves. You know what I mean? Without affecting the first team. But I think if you had an under 21s league, I think it'd be great. I think it would help the 19s league, but it's hard to say. But I like seeing a lot of 19s games. I watched them. I'm very interested in the 19s league, and the games are very high quality. There's some really, really nice pastures of play. Like it's a joy to watch at that level. You know what I mean?
And the mad thing is as well, you actually often see 16 and 17-year-olds being promoted to under 19s as well, don't you?
What a lot of clubs do is from the under 13s, the kids are coming in at 11, and they're having 2 years of 13s, 2 years of 15s, 2 years of 17s, 2 years at 19s. So the first year you're finding your feet, and then the second year you're cementing your spot in the team and really pushing on. Like I'd say that's what the aim is. Look, we obviously get players that are coming in that are really good, that come in just for the one season and stuff like that. But I would say a lot of the players now would be 2-year players.
Now, I've noticed in the last couple of seasons, we see more of these kind of youth academy players filtered through into first teams. And it's kind of been like that for a while in the first division because the finances are low and maybe it's not as much pressure. But it's starting to happen now with a lot of the Premier Division teams. Like I was looking at it earlier, and you've got the likes of Waterford Pats who are going to have 7 players in the first team squad from their academies. And that doesn't count, by the way, Waterford with the 2 Murphys from years gone by. But the likes of, for Waterford, I'll give you an example. They've got Dara Parr, Niall O'Keefe, Shane Griffin, John Martin, Alex Phelan, Matthew Connor and Sobowale in their first team squad. And when you list off those names, Cian, like quite a few of them are well capable and actually have been playing first team football, aren't they, in fairness?
Yeah. Look, I'm very impressed now, though. The 2 people that stand out for me, and that is Griffin, and I like Sobowale. I like looking at him play at the back. I think he does a good job there for them. I think, honestly, I think them 2 players probably wouldn't have been playing for Waterford if they weren't stuck for so many players in key positions. But, Sobowale is definitely cemented a spot, I would say, in next season's plans with a bit of luck that, playing now in the starting 11. I think he deserves it after the shortened season we had last year. I thought he had a great partnership with Sam Bowen there last year. Look, Sam's going to be a big loss leaving Waterford for Pats. But, I think it's great to see these players filtering through. And let's not forget all these coaches at League of Ireland, 15s, 17s, 13s, 19s, all these, they're all volunteers. And now the standard, I don't think I've done it justice when I said it. The standard is like professional. They're training like a professional team. The training sessions are planned out. Like you have A licensed coaches, pro licensed coaches coaching in this. So like it's not you have your kickstart coaches or you have coaches that have invested time and money, and that all they want is the best for the players and the club. And I think it's unique that way, like because if you went over to England and let's say I was coaching at, let's say a Brighton or someone, and I was with the 18s or the 23s, whatever it may be, I'd be getting a serious wage.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a testament to them and testament to all the coaches, and not only the League of Ireland coaches. I'm talking about the coaches in, let's say, your clubs around the country before they even step up to this level. Like you look at St. Kevin's, the work that's being done there. Your Belvedere's, you're looking at other clubs like Home Farm, big clubs, and not even them. Like you're seeing, like there is other clubs like like Sword, Celtic, stuff like that just put in just the amount of work, the exact same amount. And if a couple of players come through, brilliant. Like I know. They're going from Ballymun. We've Dale Rooney, Daniel Mandrow. All these players have come from Ballymun United. I know they went on to play for Kevin's and stuff like that. But
Even that team, you look at these players. St. Joseph's is another one actually. Linked
Joe,
Bray. But you look at some of these players like Moran and other players that came through at Bray, and they're off to England. And there's quite a few of them. Evan Ferguson recently, at Bohemians as well. Obviously, Kevin's Bohemians, but you know what I'm saying. So, quite a few of them recently have actually branched out to England. Now, personally, in my selfish ways, I would like them to stay in the League of Ireland for an extra couple of years. But that's a different thing altogether, But just that proves work that's been done at these, clubs like your Joseph's, Belvedere, whatever. And then later on at maybe Bohemians, St.Patrick, Waterford FC, whoever, Derry, yourself.
Yeah, I think the players are being rounded into players, and are being they're taught the basics, and they're getting a great platform at these clubs, and then they're coming in to a League of Ireland setup, and they're just becoming a more rounded player. They're becoming a more mature player. They're learning their game a lot.
That's a good thing, by the way. I know the way there's a bit of conflict there with clubs like Belvedere and Kevin's and your Josephs and that. But do you think ultimately it's better for the player to actually go to a Bohemians or a Waterford or whatever it is, the St. Pat's earlier these days?
It is. It's a benefit for the League of Ireland. Yeah. Like some people, you can understand the frustrations of what I mean. The likes of big clubs, you can understand the frustrations of bringing a player through, looking after them, bringing them up. But at the end of the day, like we're trying to put a platform out for kids to play football, and the highest we can make them go, the better. And look, at the end of the day, whatever happens, like if a player goes and leaves, let's say Belvedere, goes for Pats, like he's wished the best of luck, and he's always looked after, he's always welcome. Like you look at players like for example, Ben McCormick and stuff like that. We get on and speak about them, like all these players, and they speak so highly of their underage clubs as well, like before they went onto the steps. But I just think the work that's being done at that level is even more important than the work that's being done at League of Ireland level, because these players are being brought in from when they probably can't kick a ball to become
that's it, Keane. 100%. Sorry, Keane, cutting across you there. No, that's it, 100%. No, you're dead right there. Like, and the thing I like about it is the fact that these players are learning a lot more now with these clubs like your Pats and Waterford and Bowes, and Derry and all that, and the fact that we can't rely on money in the League of Ireland, and you never know what way the money situation can go up or down. Mostly down, to be honest. So if you can produce players, and as you said earlier, it is a step up to get into senior teams. However, if you can still produce these players, you're raising, you're possibly getting players where you don't have to maybe spend big wages on and things like that as well. And they have a bit of a draw, let's say, for the club as well, if they're coming through at 13, 14, 15. And like I'll give you an example there. Obviously, Pat's under 19 players there. They won the under 19 league. Obviously, like I said, Josh Keeley, you've got Keane Kelly, Keane Corbally, Kyle Robinson, who all came through. Now, I know a couple of them, love the Pats already, and they've just about signed a pro contract, but they get the fabric of the club of St. Patrick's Athletic. You've obviously got Dara Burns, Ben McCormick, who've already been there. Luke McNally has played first team, and obviously Lennon has been there a long time as a first team player. It's great for fans to see that as well. And, it's great for players as well to see a pathway if there are senior players there as well,
Yeah, look, as a fan myself now, like, I get immense pride in it. Like, I spoke about it before. Like, I've seen Jamie Lennon make his debut on the Brandywell against a very decent, his league debut, sorry, but a very decent Derry side at the time with McNF, McNamee, and all in the middle. Now I think we were beaten 1-0 now, but I think that was the night McNF scored a screamer. If you remember, it bounced out. It was a half volley into the net. But like you see these players coming through, yeah, Jamie McGrath, stuff like that. Like, you know, we take immense pride in seeing these players getting the contracts. Like, look, there's no doubt about it. The 5 lads that signed for Pats are serious talents. But we have to be realistic, and they'll probably fill the 20 or the 25 in the man squad, the last 5 places. Like, I do think they will definitely challenge. They will get in there because,
especially fact if we have a proper season, there's obviously more game time available. And in regards to Pats, there we talked about Waterford a few minutes ago. Darragh Burns, made 6 appearances at the end of last season, and Ben McCormack came on, made 2 substitute appearances.
Yeah.
Ben McCormack's only just gone 18, and Burns, I believe, is 19. Isn't that right? And obviously the guys who just signed are a bit younger again. But there is an opportunity there. But it's all about, as you say, talent is great, and it is great. But you have to have a good culture, I think, in the first team dressing room for these young players coming through, and they have to really, really want it, don't they?
Yeah, and in fairness, the person I look at for that is Keith Long and Trevor Crowley for how they get. Like honestly, the most embarrassing moment for me ever as a Pats fan was Bowes' tour team hockeying us off in Richmond Park on a Sunday afternoon. It was the Bowes tour team, and Ali Regbet and stuff was playing at the time, and like he just tore us apart. That was Liam Buckley's last game, but you know, I'm saying, like, these Bowes have a great culture at getting the players in, like Promise fitted in, no problem after losing Twardek and stuff like that. You see that all the time. But I just commend the League of Ireland managers because, you know, I know from Pats definitely, like the likes of Liam Buckley, who probably was the only one that stayed there long enough. But, you know, Liam Buckley is often they're meeting under 13s, they're out watching the matches, they're looking at the under 13s players play, where realistically in the League of Ireland, these under 13s players are going to be coming in to play senior football, and you're probably on your 8th club by now as a manager. So, you know,
probably if you get one of them to actually make it to the senior football,
yeah,
you know, under 13 group, let's say.
You know, the work that's being done, and in fairness, I love the work that's being done because it does cost an awful lot of money. So, like, I would say in around 20 grand a year, I would say per team for me.
That's another point, Keane. Would you say it's worth the investment in the League of Ireland?
For some clubs, it's very hard. Like, now, I don't
take Bowes, for example. You were right there because they've been ahead of the curve in many ways, and Keith Long's been given a chance to actually blend these players in. Lyons has come through there. Obviously, Grant came through. They now have Promise, as you say, Devoy, Tierney, and maybe Moylan. But there's a feeling at Bowes where, in the last number of years anyway, he could afford the time and was understood to bring these through. And that can be a thing. Pressure for managers can be a thing as well.
I'd be a little skeptical of that, giving them so much credit. Now, look, what they're doing is great, and like, I'm not doubting that in the slightest. Like, I've so much respect for Keith Long and Trevor as coaches and what they do for the younger.
From my point of view, it'd be a case if they came from such a low base, because when he took over, they were nearly relegated and all. Yeah. And from that point of view, because it's harder, I think it's harder when you're up at the very top to start introducing academy players, let's say. Like, if you look at Shamrock Rovers, I'll give you an example there. Obviously, look, their squad is brilliant, and they have a brilliant academy as well, brilliant young players coming through. But recently, Sean Callan and Cian Clark moved to Bray Wanderers, and obviously, Aluwu had to leave the Bohemians, funnily enough, as well. So it's harder to get through at a Rovers, isn't it? They've got Brandon Cavan, a great player, Sean Williams. But
what I say, with going back to Bowes, what you were talking about, I was involved at Bowes academy level and community level, and the club is a million times better than it was 5-6 years ago. No question about it. I'm talking about just the academy now. 5-6 years ago, when Ian Morris came in, he kind of transformed it. But at the same time, these players that are going into Bowes aren't coming from that Bowes academy. They're not coming from that Bowes community side. You know, like, so they're not Bowes, let's say, through and through. The likes of Kevin's and stuff like that, linking in with them, which is great to help them. But this is where they're getting their top players like a man that went at Brighton that time and a few weeks ago and stuff like that. You're getting these players coming through at that level and they're getting their quality.
Coming through at Kevin's,
they're getting their quality from the League of Ireland 17s, 19s, stuff like that. They're not getting it from the community side. Now, it's very hard to get players from community side. I'm not doubting them in the slightest. What they do is fantastic. What I'm saying is, like, we're saying they're doing a great job, which they are.
But the biggest thing was probably getting that link with Kevin's, essentially.
Yeah, like that's it. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think St. Kevin's are the club that do it the right way. I think that the benchmark they have been for the last 50 odd years, I would say, in Irish football. I don't know how many teams they have at each age group, but it's amazing, like, to see how well they work it and how structured it is. But teams like that, like St. Kevin's and stuff like that, are the ones that are bringing these players through, and it's fantastic. I know they're linked in with Bowes now, but yeah, man, it's Ferguson, isn't it, that went over? Is it?
Ferguson. Yeah, Evan Ferguson.
Yeah, Ev. Yeah, so he's gone over, and he's gone over as a Bowes player as such. You know what I mean? Well, he probably played one season at Bowes, 2 seasons at Bowes, underage, and then
a handful of games at senior level.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. These players are going through, and it's just from that system. So I wouldn't be too upbeat about that, but it's great to see Keith Long giving them chances, like, and I think it's worked well for him. I think the trust he puts in the players. I think we've seen it with Stephen O'Donnell last year at Pats as well. Kind of the trust he put into a couple of players like the likes of Darragh Bones, bringing them on, and Tala when we needed to score, we needed to win the game to probably get Europe. The likes of Ben McCormick coming on, Luke McNally, who was playing for the schoolboys all the way up, and then he ended up shipping over to Pats, and then went on loan to Drogheda again, and funnily enough done really well. So he's given a lot of players a chance, and I admire that. I really do. And look, we look at even Shelbourne. You're looking at Sean Quinn, who was probably Shelbourne's probably standout player last year. And Dale Rooney was another one that was a standout. He came from St. Kevin's, but he was with Shells underage 19s and 17s. So, I think we are seeing players coming through. But like you said, I know I beat around the bush there a little bit, but the players are like, some clubs it's probably not worth it. It's not worth the investment in some clubs.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, but I just look at Derry City as well, and I don't know if you noticed, so last season a lot of Derry City fans, one of their biggest gripes was actually that they weren't getting academy players into the first team. Now, in fairness, Kieran Harkin's academy, he counts. He left and came back, but he came through the Derry academy. I don't know why there's an argument about that.
I don't agree with that. I personally couldn't agree, but I don't agree with that. Like, if Pat's had 18 lads who played Bangladesh and Balears and all were playing for us, and they were doing well, I'd be happy. I think it's when you're doing bad and you have these players in, then the excuses, why don't we have this, why don't we have that?
Well, in fairness to Derry City, there are quite a few. Like, you've Jack Malone there, who's kind of starting to get in. You've Ronan Boyce coming through, Patrick Ferry, the McLaughlins, Ronan McKinley. There's players, so they're going to have 6 or 7 lads in there, a bit like Pats, as you were saying before, in terms of their first, say, 25 squad. So there will be players there, and
we think that's more than enough.
Yeah, it is, and you can't expect people. You can't have a full team of academy players, or you're getting relegated. Yeah. I mean, look at Cork City last season. It wasn't a full team of academy players, but it was a full team pretty much of 21 younger, wasn't it? Pretty much, and they got relegated.
And the funny thing about that is the older players actually let them down.
Ironically, yeah, you're right in many ways. Yeah, that's true, actually, in fairness. But yeah, I mean, like Derry City, obviously Derry are a proud club, etc., and that. But a lot of these players I mentioned there, they're 18-year-olds as well. Yeah. You can't just fling in 18-year-olds here and there unless they're serious. Even Long, I don't want to talk about Bowles too much as well, but even Long, he doesn't just fling in Dawson Devoy. He plays a couple of games, he takes them out. And that comes back to Shamrock Rovers there and kind of Dundalk in a way, because Rovers Academy is far better than Dundalk's. Dundalk have just employed Steve McDonald to try and oversee the academy in Dundalk. But they have Hanratty and Wynne. Wynne got one appearance last season, I think, in the league anyway. He might have played in a cup game or something as well. But it's nearly impossible for those players to come through Dundalk because of the finances. And now with the so-called foreign influx. Yeah, so basically with Dundalk there, like, it's impossible for any youth players to get through there. And particularly when their academy is probably, let's be honest, it's probably one of the weakest in the Premier Division, isn't it? Underage.
I don't want to give them, I don't want to lay into them as much, but I know a Belva under-18s team that went up there and won 1-0 against them. Now, this team has beaten a few League of Ireland teams. The standard wasn't what you'd expect at League of Ireland level.
Put it this way, Cian, they're never in contention, or they're never in your head that, for example, the under-19s league this year, we talked about this earlier on in the year, and we mentioned 4 or 5 teams. We never once talked about Dundalk, for example.
Yeah, and now I'm not going to mention any teams, but we've often gone to play a game. I'm obviously involved with Belvedere, and we've often got to play games, and we love testing ourselves against League of Ireland opposition, and we'd go to play them, and they wouldn't have money to pay for the pitch or the referee or anything, so it all had to be at the cost of.
What age group game?
That would go for nearly all age groups at different teams, so I think that's another element of it. It's definitely finances, but you look at Dundalk and you think, I think now I like what they're at doing, because they probably identified that these players aren't coming through, and not that they're not good enough, they're not coming through at all, the system. In recent years, the only player that stands out in my head when someone says Dundalk is Georgie Poynton, right? Personally, he's probably the only player. Your man Lafetta had a good bit about him at underage level. And
Steve McDonald, actually, he's just taken up the academy. He was at the club years ago. But you know what I mean?
But I think employing him now to do a job, and he will do a job. I think the work being done at Shelbourne with Ian Henderson, or with Stephen Henderson, who was used to manage Cole, for anyone that doesn't know. The work that's being done here is fantastic. So, I think we have Gerard O'Brien and Pats and McPhail and Rover. So, we have these top people in the game.
Rovers are doing great work. The problem is, as I said before, is the first team squad is so strong. It's so difficult to break through. I don't know what's happening to Brandon Cavan. He's been linked with a move away in England, but he might even struggle to break through in the first team at Rovers. And then Dean Williams and Max Murphy, Darren Nugent, that Sean Brennan fella looks a decent young player. Then it might be part of the first team next season. But how many of them are going to break through Shamrock Rovers the way Rovers are going? It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, we don't know now. Look, if they have that name in the hat for the first division next year, and if they get the license, I believe we're going to find out a lot on the 4th of February. But if they were to play in the that would be great for them as a club, because they'll be able to give Dean Williams maybe 15 minutes on a Friday night, and then he might get 70 minutes, he might get 90 minutes on the Sunday or the Saturday when they're playing in the first division for the B side. So, these players will play if that happens. So I think there's a big emphasis on getting them into the first division. It's a lovely position to be in as a club from Shamrock Rovers. I don't think anyone else outside of Shamrock Rovers wants them in the league. We know that. I think everyone has made that pretty clear. But the talent they have, I think any team would budge a hand off for them. I think the Brandon Kavanagh's link away to Palace is coming from Stephen Royce, obviously gone over there as a coach. So, Royce, I know him really well, and from being involved with Shamrock Rovers. So I'd say that's where that's coming from. But I think we are going to see now with the Brexit and stuff like that, we're going to see a lot of these players being given a chance abroad and being given the opportunity. So they won't be minding these players from wherever in the world, Italy, or for millions of money. You're not going to have that anymore, I don't think. So, I think it's a big opportunity. It really is a huge opportunity for players over here, I would say, in the next 5 to 7, 8 years to maybe even make the push across, see what happens. I'd be excited if I was 13 or 14 playing let's say, a Pats or a Rovers or a Bows at the minute, with what's happening. So I'd be very I just watch it closely and see how many actually get a chance now.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Just Sligo Rovers as well, Keane. I mean, they don't have loads of players coming through, but who the players that came through their academy are kind of top quality in this league. McGinty, you've got Mahan, and you've got Morahan. I mean, any team that can bring in from pretty much their academy. I know McGinty was in Scotland, but he worked with the youths.
Yeah.
Can bring players like that in. I mean, if they'd find it very hard to get them players in if they were elsewhere. Put it that way.
Yeah,
if they were part of Bohemians or someone.
I think Liam Buckley has a strong emphasis on bringing people in. I think everywhere he goes, he gets a link with a college. I think Sligo were even linked with a college now. I know when he was at Patton and still there was minute.
Well, I know Niall Moran, I think, is doing he's doing work in what do you call it, Sligo IT, basically.
Yeah, but look, I remember Liam Buckley. He went to Sligo very soon after Pat, and within a couple of weeks, he was outside about handshakes with the Sligo IT. But I think.
You have to have links with that, though. If you're Sligo in a town of Sligo and you have an IT beside you, you really have to make the most of these situations, don't you?
Yeah, no, I think Liam puts great faith in the underage. What's being done is fantastic for some clubs. Like I says, it's a catch-22 for other clubs. Like I think Athlone.
I think they're with Sligo as well. They obviously signed those guys up to contracts as well. And I think if you are coming through the youth system of a place like that, especially Sligo, because it's not in Dublin where there's other clubs very close to each other, it kind of helps them sign them on again, doesn't it? It gives them that extra feeling of wanting to stay, in my view, anyway.
Of course, like you would. And, I think if you stay for 3 or 4 years at one club, you're going to love it. We have these good players in this league. We just need to look after them. We need to mind them. But we can't rush this. I don't think you can.
100%. I think just looking at Drogheda as well, we know the experience they brought to the club, but they've got Mark Doyle, Ryan O'Shea, Jamie Clark, Jordan Adeyemu, and Killian Phillips. Now, quite a few of them made an impact in the first division last year. So, obviously Mark Doyle was class. They're going to be key, some of them players for Drogheda this season. They've come through the academy there as well. So, that's a huge thing for Drogheda, isn't it, as well, to try and get that mix, I suppose, coming into the season. And, it's a good promotion for Drogheda.
At this minute in time, I think Drogheda have got a spot on. I think they needed somebody at the back to just be in charge. I don't think Pendergast is up to it, in my opinion.
Not in the Premier Division these days, no.
I think Dan Massey, what a signing. What a signing. I think if he went to anyone, let's say, he'd add something. If he went to anybody, he'd add something. So for Drogheda to get him, Dinny Corcoran, these players, Darren Markey now, this is a huge season for Darren. We say it every year, but this is a huge season for Darren. He's going in there now. He's not that little young, very talented boy that played for Pats that fans love seeing him getting on the ball and playing. Now he's in there and he's probably the number 10 and he's the main man. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how he glows in that position and how he plays. But, there's a big sense of optimism. Like, we look at even in the first division, we've seen the signings the first division have made. I know we're talking about youths, but this is what I'm saying. You look at the signings these teams have made. Like, some of the signings are probably better than the Premier Division signings. Like, you look at Cork, even bringing back Beattie and so, like, you don't know what state they're going to come back in. Let's be honest. You don't know.
But you'd like to think someone like Beattie, Cork obviously have a good academy as well, and we know all the players they brought through. O'Brien, Denanga players. I don't think he's signed on, but players like that, etc. And you'd like to think his experience of winning
That's
things
what I mean.
kind
of helped. So you're bringing him in. But then you're looking at the likes of Wexford, who do absolute unbelievable work at underage level. Unbelievable. And honestly, when I think of underage League of Ireland, Wexford are way up there for me. What they do is fantastic. You see the amount of players being put through into the first team.
Athlone, Cove also have done it.
Well, Athlone have kind of, I don't know what's the story about Athlone, but it's a little bit mad at the minute. But I just hope, for Athlone's sake, I just hope they haven't lost what they had.
The chemistry, exactly.
They were building a fantastic setup of Athlone-based players, bringing through an academy. And now look, they needed to add a bit of quality. They've added it. I still don't think they're going to set the world alight with the players they brought in. They brought in big-name players, but they probably won't be the best. But you know,
it's a big gap. There's a huge gap to make. I think if they get a final playoff place, it'll be fantastic.
It's very easy to finish in the playoffs, really. Now in the first division,
Even that, I'm not sure they will get in, to be honest. But anyway,
look, you need to have a really, really, really bad season to not even be in the Premier, to not even be in the playoffs, because it's so tight. Like, so you need. I'm just excited now to see the likes of Cove, to see Athlone, to see what players are going to bring through Wexford and stuff like that, because some really good talents are coming through the Fourth Division. Like, I know I spoke about the Premier Division there and the players, but the Fourth Division is looking good as well, and it has a serious mix of youth and experience. So, we say it every year, don't we? But it really is. It has the makings of a much better league.
I'm going to put you on the spot just before we go, Keane. If you had to pick 3 players to force their way into, you players obviously, into one of the Premier Division teams this season, who would you go for? Which 3 would be the ones you say could force
I'm not going to take the easy way out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you have the likes of Dean Williams and Brandon Kavanagh and stuff like that, who have cemented their places after last season. That's an easy choice. I'm not going to say them. Player-wise, I'm looking at, I personally, a big admirer of Dara Burns. I think he's a talented player. Look, I heard that he went up, he played for, he's still at the minute, he's in the middle of playing for 2 nations. He's playing for the North and us. Well, I think he went up on the Friday night, man the match and assisted or something for Ireland. And he went up the North on the Saturday and done the exact same thing, man the match as well. Now, this fella is a serious talent. We're looking forward to seeing him play on the left or the right coming on. He's not going to start, but he's a player I'm really looking forward to looking at. As well, I would. He's at Pats. I can't say him playing, but Josh Keeley would be a big one for me that I like looking at. Now, I can't say him playing. I think even
he's 6'3", Keane.
Yeah, look, if we got 2 keepers, I would love to see him in the First Division. On loan now, I'd love the Pats to hold on to him, like, which they obviously are with the contract. Yeah. But I would love to see him play. I don't think he's going to play. He's probably going to play for the 9 this year. I'm not sure what way the situation is. I'm trying to think of someone else outside of thing. You're looking at Dawson Devoy, who he hasn't really broke through. Let's be honest. He only played a couple of games, so I think this year now, he's probably not going to be the number 10. He's probably not going to start the games, considering the quality of signings they brought in with Hurdy and Cute and stuff like that. Well, like, Pats fans didn't want Hurdy in anyway. I just had to get that in there. Well, you're looking at that Dawson Devoy. Yeah, I'd put him in that bracket, and I don't know.
I'll throw one out. I'll go Dara Power of Waterford, because he came in at right back at the end of last season, really cemented his place. Subawali looks like he could move into midfield for them, but he gives them that option of midfield and right back. But
Subawali,
he looked a bit more. What's the word? Less mistakes than Dara Power, I thought, to be honest, with Subawali.
No, it really.
It's tough to say. That's a
shout. Like, I personally don't think anyone that we said there is probably not going to play apart from Dara Power. Probably, he's probably not.
My wonder is there will be somebody who I've mentioned here, apart from the drop of the players, because they're kind of cemented. Mark Doyle is already cemented.
That's right.
There's probably somebody here who's going to, by the end of next season, be not quite a key player, but in the first team most weeks. I guarantee it. The question is who. That's the question. Injuries could be circumstances with injuries and then they play well and they're in the team and that's it. Off form, other things like it's attitude. It comes down to attitude, doesn't it? At the end of the day, well, the talent, but have you got the drive to want to do it to get better?
I wouldn't say it's the drive that lacked in Jake Walker and stuff like that. I'd say it's the standard. It's just a level up. So it's who can make that level, who can step up to that mark just as quick. It's who can adapt quicker. That's what it is, really. And it's like that in England.
Jump as well. There's a physical jump.
Yeah, like if you can't adapt if you can't adapt, someone else is behind you who's already adapted. You know what I mean? So that's what it comes down to as well. Like we look at, like I'm involved in junior football as well. Like I'm involved with James's Gate, and the talent in that league, like it's kind of takes you back how good quality it is, and you're like, how, like how? That's the question you ask yourself. How are these not playing higher level, or how are some of these players that we're playing against not playing
I
League of
think
World?
because some players, do have the ability, but they don't have or want to commit to that higher level as
Yeah,
well. I think that happens as well, doesn't it? In
a lot
fairness,
of it
and they
playing
just
your
think, look,
mate.
I just enjoy playing my football.
Yeah,
I don't want the pressure of having to play for team A or B every week, and be in training and doing gym work or whatever it is. But they're good on the ball and that
yeah.
kind of thing, you know.
No, but I do. I think it's going to be a good mix of youth and experience in this league. So we're a bit of luck. We'll have a good season with them.
Yeah, 100%. Look, lads, let us know what you think in the comments about any club and what you players would you pick out to watch for next season. Thanks again, Cian.
Thanks, bud.